All right, so we're going to dive into the three client cash campaign. And I'm excited about this one. This is going to be a very simple yet focused sequence of content that you can literally start running today, tomorrow, next week, anytime, with the main intention to be able to get at least three clients. Now, for some, you may have a bigger audience or a lot more warm or hot leads. So this can turn into seven clients, 10 clients, whatever you have the capacity for. But I have seen personally this campaign get at least three clients minimum for people. And as everybody knows, if you're here watching this, it comes down to the messaging, the words that you are using within the campaign, how you are angling it, the call to action that you do. So that's really what we're going to dive into. And we'll start developing the campaign here on this call. I have a swipe cheat sheet with templates that you can model if you so choose. Without further ado, let's dive in. And so the way I'm going to do this is we'll go into this whole campaign. I'll walk through it all. We'll open this up for questions and we'll actually workshop this. So you can leave here today with a plan. The goal is three clients, 7 days. You don't have to use ads for this. You certainly don't have to cold DM. The intention here is to your warm audience. And so if you run this, the intention is to help create demand for your content rather than just posting and praying, help you book more calls from your existing audience and land at least three clients fast. Can't even talk. And so why this works, most of you guys know this if you've run campaigns before, but this one specifically is right now, most coaches are constantly posting, but they're never really promoting. And I don't mean promotion in the sense of the old school, like, I'm looking for five guys, five people that are trying to, it's like that stuff can still work here and there, but like it's overplayed. And I'm not talking about promotions in terms of the hard, like, we've got a flash sale today, right? And it's not like that, but like really intentionally creating demand and promoting something so people like very specific that your idle clients like, yes, I freaking want this. I gotta have it. And some of the best promotions are directly tied to the promise that your offer solves. So, for example, in my fitness business, I basically help people lose that last 20, 30 pounds of stubborn belly fat. And so it would be in my best interest, right? And my most successful campaigns were here's how to lose the belly. Here's how to shed 20, 30 pounds of belly fat fast, right? Here's the exact workout plan and nutrition plan to lose the belly. And that way, when people are interested in it, even if you're sending them to a video, to a workshop, to a video sales letter, or to a direct promotion, you're going to have a lot more ideal clients because they're interested in that. And so the big thing here is it's not just about posting content for content's sake. It's not running a campaign for just running a campaign's sake. It's about running a very intentional 7 day promotion that drives attention to one clear offer or conversion event. And you want to be able to use urgency to your advantage so people take action, right? Because at the end of the day, we're not trying to go viral. We're not trying to be fluffuencers. We're running coaching businesses, and businesses run campaigns. They're not posting for hobby. And so where this fits in, and real quick, so I'm gonna call it the elephant in the room that we're all probably aware of, but I think it's just worth repeating, is in my experience, what was working really well for like hooks and call to actions just a couple years ago isn't producing like it used to. I half jokingly was like the five guys post that we all probably have seen before if you've been in the industry. It can still work, of course, but it's gonna work a lot less because millions and millions of people have seen something like that. And even the same kind of generic type hooks, like the I help busy professionals lose 20 pounds type hooks, while they can obviously still work, they work less. And I remember reading this book by Eugene Schwartz, Breakthrough Advertising, and he talks about like in the 50s or 60s or something like that, they would run newspaper ads and they would be like the headline of lose weight fast, and people would jump out of their freaking their Sunday chairs to be like, "What? How?" Right? Because it was like it was so unique of an angle at the time that nobody was talking about losing weight fast. And then obviously fast forward a couple years, it's all over the place. And so we're in a very similar era right now where information is so easily accessible. And I want you guys to consider what your ideal clients are typically seeing on their social media. They're seeing the same information. What happens when they're like they are interested in, say, losing weight or whatever the outcome that you're helping them with? They can type into Google and Gemini is going to pop it up now in seconds. They can go into YouTube. It's like the information is there. And so when we're creating hooks, especially when we're trying to drive demand for our content, we want to make sure that we're creating a uniqueness, a novelty to it that gets people's attention without being clickbaity. And to me, clickbaity is just when they click, it's bait and there's no value. So you do want to be clickbaity in an authentic way because when they click on your stuff, it's not bait, it's delicious bait because you're giving them value. But you know what I'm talking about. We don't want to be overly baity. We want to be novel and have a unique angle. And we'll work on that today. The entire kind of model and where this fits in. So you can see we just did the 8 week impact cycle. And so if you are in the phase of like lead nurture and really trying to drive more of your current leads into book calls, this is a great workshop for you to be on because that's really what we're talking about. But you want to have a way to connect with people top of funnel, right? Whether you're borrowing traffic, whether you're running organics, you're doing an organic social funnel, capturing leads, right? And where this fits in is under Captivate, under your strategic content ecosystem. This is intentionally running these campaigns. And I always recommend that you run at least one campaign every single month. And then on the back end of these campaigns, while these campaigns can act, especially if you're doing a masterclass or workshop, they can act as a VSL. In fact, some of my highest converting campaigns are live workshops. And so they can technically act as a VSL, but you can also use the VSL on the back end of a campaign to get people over the edge. Does that make sense? And then, of course, you have like your conversions and your offer and all that stuff. Your goal when you run this is to send people to a conversion event to land the clients. That is it. And so this is how I have this one framed. I'm going to give you guys a couple different alternate routes, especially if you're more advanced with running these. I'm going to give the beginner version, and then we'll also talk about intermediate or advanced versions for those that have already been in my world and you've run multiple campaigns. You could probably handle something that's a little bit more advanced while still following the basic fundamentals. And so day one, we know we have to do a hand raiser post, right? We have to call out the problem and get people to comment. And so hand raiser post, they could be like the colored backgrounds on Facebook. They could be a Twitter style on Instagram or even a reel on Instagram. Dude, they could even be a story poll, right? Or in your stories. So a hand raiser post is just calling out the problem and driving traffic, driving humans, eyeballs, your ideal clients towards the conversion event. It's as simple as that, right? That's all we're trying to do is get people to comment or DM us. The hype post is about building anticipation and teasing what you're going to run. The proof post is about building social proof, right? Building the belief. The conversion event, that's where you deliver value and make your offer. And then I always like to have a recap post, even if I'm just posting it in stories or via email. And then day 6 and 7, I'm typically just really hitting hard the follow up and re engagement. Our goal, especially if you're doing the video first, if you're sending people to a workshop or a masterclass, is this is where so many people drop the ball is they do the content, but then, but like you got to get people to go watch it. Like when people watch it, or at least if you engage in conversation and get them onto a call, that's the key. And then really closing the loop and having a CTA nudge. I run each campaign like it's its own mini launch. It's just like a little mini launch. So you want to make sure that it's like you just didn't pour your heart into a freaking awesome training and then it just dies. You know what I mean? It just goes and filters and dies. You want to let it live. You want to let it do its thing. You want to get humans to see it. And There's still one training in my Facebook group from 2022 that is still crushing it. It still lives, not because people magically find it, it's because we make people find it. We literally have a process to where we tag all new people in a hand raiser post to get, and then if the comment, we get them to see it. We allowed that baby to live. That baby is now 3 years old. It's growing with us. It's part of the company. It has a name. It's called the five post training. It's like it's part of our company. It's part of our process, right? It's the same with a really good video sales letter. You want it to grow with you. You want it to maybe change the packaging of it, redo it. But my point in saying all this is don't let it just die. Follow up, get people to see it, and book calls with people. Remember, the two things that are killing people, there's probably a lot more, and we could probably have a whole side chat on this, but sugar and stress. And so they're stressed and they're eating sugar if they're in weight loss, if you're helping them in weight loss. And so get them on a call so you stop killing them. Because every time you don't get somebody to watch your content or get onto a call, you're literally accomplice to murder. Think about that. You're literally an accomplice to murder. Do you feel good putting your head on the pillow at night? You, probably not. So let's break this down. I'm getting right into the nuts and bolts of this. The pre-campaign, you got to find the hook that hits. If your hook sucks, nobody clicks. Period. Even if your video VSL live training is the most fire thing that's ever entered this planet, if no one watches, no one's going to watch something that sounds boring or sounds like they've seen it before. This is where the novelty comes into play. So before you hit record or write the first line, just like anything else, you want to brainstorm 3 to 5 spicy, like I'm talking like jalapeno, habanero spicy, belief shifting topics that your dream clients actually care about. And how do you find these? Chat GPT, baby. No, I'm just kidding. While that can certainly help, it's what are the high value keywords? For this in particular, you're going to look at chat conversations that you've had with people. Look at successful combinations of things, right? Like I go back through all of my like anybody that signs up with me that I'm like they're a freaking amazing client. I wish I had 100 of them. I literally study the chats. I ask questions. I see what did they tell me on a sales call. I'm just constantly just trying to keep my focus on I only want to create content that's going to speak to these things that this person wants, right? And we have a habit, all of us as coaches, is we get bored and we want to just start creating other random stuff. And that's fine. But when you're running these campaigns, you want to Trojan horse what your ideal clients actually care about. And so I look at client convos, objections, pain points, all that information that find the topics. And you likely already know the topics that convert, but I still run through this process. And then, of course, you can use ChatGPT to punch it up, right? So I was just on a call with Tyler and I was on ChatGPT and I have a whole GPT created for him. And I was just like, hey, here's the hook that we came up with. And I was like, I can't remember what I said, but I basically got some variations of different hand raisers and hook topics based off the hook that we came up with, right? And so you can use it to give you some different angles. You can use prompts like make this more curiosity driven, give me 5 spicier or polarizing variations. You can play with it. Or you can go into my hand raiser bank that's inside of school. And if you can't find it, let me know. I'll show you where it is. And you could say, hey, these are some of the most successful hand raisers and hooks that my coach has. Can you please model these? So you can teach it what you want it to model. And then you want to poll your avatar, or sorry, your audience, or post a teaser. The easiest way to do this, so if you have a Facebook group, I just do it in my Facebook group and then I'll just tag at everyone and I'll just see, right? So let me see if I can. Is everybody seen? You guys have probably seen this in my group before, but I'll show you a live example of this since I didn't have one put up. And but you could do this inside of your Instagram or Facebook stories. You could just do this on your newsfeed, to be honest. It doesn't have to necessarily be. in a post, or sorry, in a poll. So, a quick poll. What would help you get more clients? And these are all topics I was thinking about for a workshop, for a conversion event. The magnetic messaging workshop, AI for coaches. So, I had 100% of people click on this. So, it tells me first, I always look, there's only 4 votes on this one. And I always look at who voted because if it's like unideal clients voting, then that doesn't matter, to be honest. Quick poll. This one had a little bit more. 3-stage roadmap. So you see what I'm saying? I always like to do polls on some ideas on topics that I have, and it helps me really nail something in. And then pick one and go all in. So I'm spending a bit more time on the pre-hook because the rest of it's relatively straightforward. But if you don't nail this, it's sucks. Because it's things are gonna go flat. So clarity over cleverness. Choose one big idea and build your entire campaign around this. And again, if you want clients, like the closer it could be attached to the goal of your offer, right? To the outcome of your offer, the more aligned the clients would be, right? So it's like if your core outcomes, I'll use Chris as an example, is I help people lose 40 pounds. I help diabetics, type 2 diabetics lose 40 pounds and lower their A1C by X amount. If his workshop was on here's how to meal prep, to it's like it could get a lot of engagement, but he might not have a bunch of people ready to buy. Versus if he was like, hey, I'm gonna walk you through the 3 biggest mistakes most type 2 diabetics make when trying to lose 40 pounds. The people that raise their hand for that type of video or training or whatever are obviously going to be much more aligned. So the more aligned the topic can be for the outcome of your offer, the more ideal clients you're going to get. It makes sense. So the filter I use for every hook before I publish is, and by the way, I'll give you this doc. So you'll have this doc. And if you're watching this elsewhere, wherever it's posted, just look below where you're watching this video and the doc will likely be clickable for you. And so will it stop the scroll or get attention fast? I like to stop and I like to literally imagine myself in my ideal client's shoes and how like they're probably on their phones scrolling on Instagram or scrolling on Facebook or swiping right through stories or on Tinder or whatever. And I'm like, would this grab their attention fast? If I'm like, I actually don't think it would. I want to readjust it. Is it hitting a specific pain or desire they want solved? Not what you think, but what they want. If you're like, they just want to be strong, and they're like, I do want to be strong, but I also want to lose this fat, right? It's like you want to make sure you're speaking what they want and what they're willing to pay for. I once heard this from a mentor of mine who said, you want to sell them the painkiller, not the vitamins. Everybody said knows they need vitamins. They might even buy a vitamin here and there, but they're always most humans take painkillers rather than just take the vitamins and drink the water. Are you using their language, not yours? Is it simple and clear, not clever and confusing? Does it have a unique angle or is it generic? And is the CTA clear and easy to follow? And we're going to be going into some examples in just a minute. So does that make sense? So as we're going in, feel free to drop your hooks in the chat. And if you have something in mind or something you're about to run, and we'll take time. I'll go back through the chat and as we start to wrap this workshop up and go through them. So let's go ahead and look at day one. This is a recommendation on how I would position this. I'm going to give you guys a GPT that will help you with hand raisers, a GPT that I'm constantly training and updating that you can use as well. But I would keep it really simple and clear. Audience or niche, I put together a free, a simple training workshop or strategy on how to get big desired outcome without common obstacle. Now, I personally would use desired outcome over pain because this is designed to move your warm audience to a call or to become a client. And I find that I'll get better ideal clients when I'm speaking to a desired outcome. Versus if I'm doing colder traffic, I'll typically find the pain point or problem works better. Some examples. Fitness coaches, if I put together a simple 7-day campaign that helps you land 3+ clients without ads or cold DMs, who would want it? Menopause weight loss example. Ladies 40 plus. If I gave you a simple plan to lose stubborn menopause belly fat without cutting carbs or crazy workouts, who'd want the details? Busy dads. Dads. If I share a time-saving routine to drop 10 to 15 pounds, ditch the dad bod, and get your energy back in 30 minutes a day, who would want it? Emotional eating and cravings. Women, if I showed you a 7-day process to stop emotional eating and finally feel back in control of your cravings, who'd want access? Mindsets, limiting beliefs. This one is a fun one. This one's a little bit more intangible. So, friends, if I dropped a short training on how to rewire one belief that's blocking your income without hours of journaling, who would want it? And you can see there's even more examples here that I put in, but you get the point. Do you have to follow this verbatim? Absolutely not. You can go to my hand raised bank. You can use the GPT to get some ideas based around your hook, but you can also just model this to a T and run with it. And so the most important part here is you want to make sure that you reply to all comments, whether it's in Facebook or Instagram or wherever you're running this, because the algorithms pick up on this. And so it'll help that post get seen by more of your warm audience when you're replying to comments and DMing them. And so here's a very simple script that you can use. These are, how to reply to each comment. Obviously, you can use your own language, but I just wanted to give you something to run with. Three versions. I never like to post the same thing. It seems too spammy. So I always like to have different variations that I can give to my virtual assistant to use, or if you're doing it, you can use. And then send them a DM. I saw your post on my comment. Glad you're interested. The training, the workshop, the whatever you want to call it will happen in my group, on my page, in Zoom, wherever you're going to do it. Do you need a live replay? And invite them to the conversion event. Really simple. So that's the hand raiser post. It's pretty standard to most of our hand raiser posts, right? That we do, or most of our trigger posts. I want you to get creative with this though. If you haven't yet tested a lot of leveraging your stories for this, leveraging your email for this, running polls, I want you to do more than just a hand raiser post. Our goal with this is to get 3 clients minimum fast. And to do that, the more eyeballs we can get on our awesome hook, the better. So don't just run one hand raiser. I want you to use that hook in multiple ways so we can literally get as many eyeballs as possible to get triggered into the sequence. The second part of this is the hype teaser post. So the goal here is to build curiosity and energy around your upcoming conversion event. And so this is just a very simple template that you can model. This has worked extremely well. I've used this in past campaigns. So you can model this to a T, or you can give this to GPT and say, hey, you can give this to the content writing ninja and say, hey, here's an example of a teaser post. My goal is to really build hype and curiosity for my upcoming conversion event. I want you to model this, change it up, use my language, use my words, and you can get something. But the principles of this type of post work extremely well. So you can leverage that. And you could do short form. So here's like another short form that could be done in a reel or a color background post. Hey, I've been testing a simple 7-day campaign that's helped 3 clients land 3 to 5 new clients with 0 ads or cold messages. I'm breaking it down live on X date. Want to invite? So this now drives curiosity. It starts to hype it up. So you can use a short form like this and or a little bit of a longer form. So these are different examples for each of the niches above. I'm not going to read through all of them, but I'll read through one of them. So I would have a headline: break through one belief blocking your income. And you can even add constraints to this if your hook says so. It could be like in 30 days or less. One of the secrets to a really good hook, or even what I call a micro offer, is it should feel doable, right? It should feel doable without a ton of work. And I know that sounds like, what? But like the honest truth is people are so busy and we're trying to hook people in on social media. And so we don't want to make people think it's not about work, but we want to give people a result that they could feel like they can accomplish, right? A lot of people have tried things and failed. And this exact campaign, if I'm like, hey, I'll show you how to set up a very simple 7-day campaign It's just a few posts. We'll even come up with it together. And then all you have to do is just post it and do it. It's like you're like it feels more doable. You're like, cool. Versus if I said let's come up with a 30-day content calendar. That feels a little bit more stressful because it's like a lot more. So think about how you can create these conversion events around a very simple thing that like would entice people. And so using going back to Chris, since you're the first one that's popping up on my stream right here, it's like staying on theme with your dream outcome, right? It could be how to lose the first 10 pounds or how to lose your next 10 pounds and lower your A1C by X amount. Or you could position it as like the three first steps, right? Or you can take something like one of your pillars that are within your brand and you could say, here's the exact eating structure, here's the exact nutrition routine that me and all my clients use to lose 30 pounds or 40 pounds, right? You see what I'm saying? So it's like you can bring it in on one specific focus, and that makes it feel like they're going to walk away with something in hand, with something that they can do. And the best way to do this too is if you can give them something to do with it. So even if it is a bigger topic to where you're like, yeah, this workshop is going to be, you still want something that they can execute. This is what we call the T-shaped workshops, to where you might have a broader topic, but you want to narrow in a little bit to where it's if you walk away from this workshop and I give you a GPT to even help you, you're going to be able to get a micro win really fast, right? If you can give them something tangible that they can do and they can start to implement within 10 minutes, it's going to make it even more compelling. So not only in the delivery, but even in the framing, how can you make it feel doable, but also not too do? It needs to feel doable for them, but not like to where they don't need to show up to your workshop. You know what I mean? Type stuff. So I could be, hey, free training begins tomorrow. Last week I asked who wanted to uncover the number one belief keeping you stuck, and the response was insane, right? So this is a traditional one that I've used many times. And you can add some context. So the way I recommend, especially for those of you that have already gone through and built your own custom GPTs using the framework that I have, and if you've never seen the GPT building workshop that I did, I'll have that linked below too, wherever you're watching on the recording. And if you're on this call live, I'll just give it to you. I'll post it in here at the end. But that in and itself is going to help you a lot if you can allow that to help to give it your messaging and help come up with these different posts. So that is the second one, the teaser. Now, the next post I like to do is the proof post. This builds belief into what you're doing actually works, right? People want to see social proof, period, right? And so this acts as like a bridge almost and helps get people hopeful, inspired, and allows them to be like, this person did it, I can't too. So the headline can be like, hey, challenge or belief that's holding them back. And then just some words. So this is a whole template you can use. I'm not going to read through the template, but I will go through an example. And so let's go through one with hormone weight loss coaches. So if this is your niche, here you go. Healing your metabolism doesn't have to take months. And by the way, you don't have to capitalize this. You certainly can, but I just did this to emphasize that this is the headline. So it doesn't have to be all capitalized. Healing your metabolism doesn't have to take months. In fact, you can add more context. Obviously, this is a little bit more general because I have to make this so it makes sense for everybody. But you can add more context to this headline as well to make it more specific to your avatar. Here's some good news. This client, and then you would just insert the client, lost 7 pounds and dropped her inflammation markers within 2 weeks, all from a few daily shifts. Sure, you do need to balance your hormones, and sure, you do need to eat more, not less, to fuel your body, but false, it has to be slow and frustrating. This is the exact protocol I'll be walking through with tomorrow's free training. Drop a GIF, a fire, a keyword if you want the invite. So we're doing something, right? And you can expand upon the social proof a little bit, right? You can expand upon a little bit more of the result or what she did if you want to add context to this. but this is just a frame that works really well. So that's the social proof post. Day 4 is the conversion event. So again, multiple different ways here. I if you're like, I don't really know what to do, I would just say go do a live session. Just do a live training. It's the easiest thing to do. But I'm a big believer in, again, if you want the highest conversion possible from like actually getting clients from this, do what you feel best doing. Like for me, I was going through with my, so I'm in like a boardroom and around a bunch of guys there, and we were all looking at each other's like record months and what's always been the best producers for us. And the head of the boardroom, he was like, got to me, and I was like, my highest conversion event is always live workshops. Like whenever I'm just like at a live speaking event or a live workshop, I'm just me. I just show up and I'm just like goofy. I'm teaching, I'm telling stories, I'm like connecting with people, and I tend to convert the highest. And then I even looked at what topics converted best, right? And this is how you start to dial this in. So if you're like me and you're just good live, you're good just like off the cuff, just jamming, you're more long-winded. You just right, do you because it's going to convert way higher versus if I have to send somebody to a video, I find that it's a lower conversion for me personally. Now, for some people, they do way better if it's pre-recorded, right? They do way better. So you just got to know what is best for you. Is it getting people into a Zoom room? Is it getting people? It's just getting doing it live in any regard? Is it doing it pre-recorded? Figure that out because that's going to be what's going to produce the most clients for you. And so your job is to solve just one big problem in that video, one takeaway, one big key insight or belief shift, and make a clear offer. DM you, book a call, apply to join your program. You just want to have one clear offer. And so the checklist for any type of video, hook them fast, tell a quick story, like a relatable or a client win, give a call to action, especially if you are, even if you're doing it on Zoom, but especially if you're doing it live on like Facebook or something, you want to use downward tonality when you're getting people to comment for something or when you want people to take action. So you want to be able to say, if you want my XYZ cheat sheet or GPT that'll help you implement this really quick, comment GPT down below right now. So you want to say it as if a doctor was, Rachel, that rash on your back looks terrible. I want you to take this exact medication. I don't know. Rachel's like, I don't have a rash, do I? But you see what I'm saying? You want to use that downward tonality and you're going to get more people to take action because you're coming at it from an authoritative tone versus, and this is just again from my experience, I have no idea if there's this factually correct. I'm just telling you, I get more people to take action when I do it this way than when I don't. But if I'm like doing it more like a friend, hey, just comment down below the keyword GPT and I don't get as nearly as many people taking action. So I think it has something to do with the authority, the authoritative tone behind it. And then teach one insight, a myth, a mistake, or truth. Share another story or example to bridge it. Repeat your CTA word and let them know you'll DM them. Recap. Pretty simple, right? And so I gave you a whole outline that you can model. Again, if you've run these campaigns, this is not new to you. But at this stage, you've got your hook down, right? That was our pre thing. We got our hook down. We've come up with a trigger post, hand raiser trigger, CTA post, running polls. We want to get as much traffic to see it as possible. We have a hype post. We're starting to build hype, get curiosity into it. We're showing social proof to give a testimonial bridge. These posts will help get more people into it. And then we want to run our conversion event. So if you have people here and you're like, I'm pretty good at getting people to get to these events, this is where you really want to double down on. If you want to convert higher, and if you want to, again, 3 clients minimum in 7 days, if you're not good at getting people to get to your event, that's where you got to double down on. If you're good at getting people to your event, you want to double down on this part. Obviously, you could try both, but from like a bottleneck standpoint, hooking people in, getting people to comment, then being able to not just teach factual things, people are gonna freaking zone out really quick. Being able to tell stories in leading into your teaching. So if I was doing this for my fitness, let's imagine the hook was here's how to lose 20 pounds of belly fat in the next 90 days without doing any cardio at all, right? I would go in and start telling people my story or a client story. I would say, look, man, I remember after I got electrocuted in the house fire when I was a firefighter, I knew I needed to lose weight. So I was running around my fire station like a dog chasing his tail. I was eating cans of tuna, like gross, like so disgusting. And I just remember like sitting so de-energized and I had to respond to a house fire and I literally had to find a banana because like I needed energy. I felt so depleted. And I was like, there's just no way that I can keep this up. I remember my skin started to come in and like I was losing muscle and like I started to lose weight, but I was like flappy. I was getting flappy. And I was just like, it's just so disgusting. And then when I would lead people into my story, right? And then I saw this article online by a guy named Nate Miyake, and he was talking about the island diet. So I decided I was going to try this island diet out. And amongst a couple other things, so I would lead them into my insight. And this is when I figured out it's about eating right, not just healthy. And after applying like my own kind of formula to this that I now call flex fuel nutrition, like after doing this for 2 weeks, I saw the first sign of visible abs coming in. And I was like, what? Because I've been trying for 2 years. And then after a couple months, I had a six pack. It wasn't super defined, but it was there. It was there. And after about 6 months, dude, I had an eight pack. I didn't even know that was possible. I forgot that I even had eight abs. I thought it was just six, right? And so I would lead people in and then I would unpack. I'd start to unpack what the my methodologies are, what I'm teaching in that particular workshop. So you lead with story, and then I can even now give a client story after I teach to start to bridge the gap. For example, my client Holly, blah 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 blah, and I could tell her story, so it's people start to see. So that's how you do it. And I'll open up for questions in just a minute. I just want to finish this section off. You can also use the metaphors, analogies, and things like that. But this is basically the campaign. Sorry, the conversion event. Now, afterwards, I want to always do a recap post or an email or put it in my stories. And this is going to give people a second chance to raise their hand. It's going to re-engage lurkers who saw the earlier post but didn't comment. And you can soft repitch without being pushy. So this is a very simple example that you can use. Hey, I shared my exact daily routine. My client used to shed 7 pounds during menopause, no carbs. Did you miss it? You want the replay? You post it in your stories multiple days after. You can do a newsfeed post. Again, we want to get people to consume this piece of content. We don't need to be like, on to the next thing. I'm going to allow this to die. We want to continue to get people to consume this. So I'd be leveraging email, stories, newsfeed. Day 6, follow up and consumption. So we want people to consume, to watch the content, and take the next step, which is booking a call with you. So I DM everybody who's raised their hand but didn't watch the video. I'll use curiosity, personalization, and like quick win language for them. Hey Tyler, circling back, did you get a chance to watch the 7-day campaign breakdown yet? It's only however many minutes it was, and super tactical. I think it'll give you a quick win. You want the link? If they did watch it, hey, glad you checked it out. Curious, what part stood out? I want them to tell me. Oh, Jason, the part where you talked about the hook is the most important part was really powerful. And that's going to lead me to now further the conversation in spin, which we know to be situation, problem, implications, and give them a next step. Even beforehand, if you're not getting a lot of comments, I like to reach out to just my warm leads and say, hey, I'm going to be running this workshop. Don't know if you're interested, but it's available for you. Then day 7, final nudge and close the loop. Nudge warm leads into action, book calls, close deals, and move them into your offer. And so I'll typically connect with all my hot leads with a simple CTA. I might use urgency or exclusivity, right? If you did this on Facebook Live, I might be like, hey, I'm going to be taking down the video because Facebook deletes videos now. And so I'm going to be putting this in a, whatever's true, don't lie, but whatever's true. You just want to find a way to use natural and authentic urgency. For me, I can always reach out to people and say, hey, I've been chatting with a few coaches about how to implement this campaign that I did. You want me to send over a few ideas tailored to your offer? Right? I'm trying to give people a reason to be like, yeah, duh, because that gets the conversation, that gets people moving towards that next step. And then optional day 7, you can do a story post. I probably wouldn't do another thing on my feed again, but you could do something in stories. So you don't need to be fancy. You just need to be clear. The CTA in every post matters a lot. The more people who see your conversion event, the more clients you will sign with this. Conversations equal clients. Follow up and be human. So many people drop the ball on this, or they just don't get people to consume their conversion event, and so they don't convert. So your action steps are pick your conversion event, pick the date and the format, how you want to deliver it. I want you to write your day 1 hand raiser post, and just get it scheduled in your calendar. Map out the rest of the content, the DMs, the reminders, etc. And then I want you to execute this plan. Whether you're going to do it over the next 7 days, or if you already have something going, you're grown. You know how to schedule things. Book the calls, sign the clients, and then celebrate. It really can be that simple if we let it. And so before we open up for questions, the 2 biggest things that make the biggest difference as a kind of recap: your hook. Your hook isn't novel, if it isn't unique, if it doesn't stand out, the campaign will fall flat. Number 2, the video itself. If you got tons of people, and my rule of thumb is, and I can give you guys a calculator for figuring out how many people you need live to convert. So this is something that, especially if you're really looking to optimize your videos, your workshops, your trainings, this is a very important metric to track, but it's the conversion. So if, say, 100 people show up, like at our peak, like in 2023, I would have 100 to 150 people show up to my lives. And I knew that if I had 100 people consume it, I would typically sign about 10 to 12 clients. Not bad, right? It was like a 10 to 12% conversion. Is that the math? Or is that lower? Yeah. Yeah. And so I knew that I just needed to get 100 people to watch it. And I knew, based on percentages, that the more people that were live, the more conversion. Like, people live converted more. So we want to get a rough estimate. So if you've run previous campaigns, if you, whether they've been live trainings or workshops, they're going to convert a little differently. A live training will convert a little differently than a Zoom workshop, for obvious reasons. You'll get more people to consume the live training usually than you will a Zoom workshop. But you just want to start getting conversion percentages. It's real simple. If you had 10 people on and 1 converted, that's your percentage. And so what that tells us is, do we need more people? Where I always start with is, first, how do we improve the actual video? How do I tell better stories, shift more beliefs, demonstrate social proof, like open loops better? I'm working on my skill set in the video because it's way easier to control, in my opinion. And then I'm adding more traffic to it. Like, I don't want to add a bunch more traffic to a leaky video. It's like adding more traffic to a leaky funnel. You're just gonna overflow and spill out everywhere. I want to make the video a bit better, or the trainings a bit better, and then I add more flow to it. And that way, this is where your any campaign that you run can truly take life. To where once or twice a month, you get, say, 20 people to watch your workshop, 100 people to watch your live training. You're guaranteed to convert at a certain percentage. And the game becomes increasing that percentage until it's reasonable. And you're like, dang, dude, I could run 1 training and convert 10 clients, that's freaking solid, right? That becomes the game. And now it's more about building a machine versus just randomly, sporadically hoping and praying that it works this month. So, hooks, super important. If you haven't been doing this, make sure with this fast paced campaign that you're getting a lot of people to consume the hook by putting it in your stories, running a poll, doing a newsfeed post, do it in different mediums to drive as much traffic, send it in your email, as much traffic as possible. Send warm DMs. You can use the market research DM script and send warm DMs. Drive as much traffic as possible to this before, during, and after. Do really good on the do as decent as you can on the video. I'm speaking to a couple people here that I know have run multiple campaigns that I'm calling you out that like it's time to really enhance the skill set of delivering masterclasses, and you're going to find that it just massively increases your conversion when you do it, and you will find that you will have at least 3 clients from any campaign that you run. So with that said, I'll open this up for questions. It could be as selfish as you want it to be.